Hello bitches, welcome back to another Draw With Me video where I'm just gonna draw whatever my heart desires today. And last week I did a spread based on my Asian American childhood, and then the week before that I just kind of did what is my life right now? What are the aspects of my life right now? So every week what I'm doing, or not every week, maybe every other week, whatever works best for my schedule, I'm just gonna be drawing a spread in my sketchbook based on a theme. And I'm just gonna mention this in case if there are new viewers entering the Draw With Me videos in the middle of them, but the reason why I always start in the middle of a sketchbook and wait a while before I draw on that first page is because I want to just get a gist of comfortably drawing in this sketchbook, because I know a lot of people who are afraid to even start a sketchbook just because of the first page scaries or the pressure to make the first page look beautiful. But once I feel like I've drawn a few pages within the sketchbook, like in the middle of it, I'll eventually feel comfortable enough to just approach that first page and really not give a shit about what it looks like. So for today's spread, it's going to be rather simple. It's just going to be a single illustration of a group of girls or people that identify as female that just run across both pages, because to be honest, I was kind of struggling of thinking of a theme and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck should I draw for today's video? But I figured I should just go back to my roots and just think about what is the easiest thing for me to draw, and that tends to be girls. Prior to this, I used to just keep sketchbooks of girls only, considering that they were the easiest for me to draw, and I wanted to have a space where it could just be reserved for my comfort zone drawings only, because before art school, and even during art school, I went through this whole like pretentious phase of just being like, does this challenge me? Does this push me out of my comfort zone before I draw it? And if it doesn't push me out of my comfort zone, then bitch, forget about drawing it, because that's not going to help me grow in any way. And in a way, it kind of backfired, because although I do believe that you should draw out of your comfort zone from time to time, that doesn't mean to completely eliminate the things that you genuinely enjoy drawing. So I feel like if you're in a situation where you just can't even get yourself to draw because you feel like you need to impress someone with it, that's why I think it's important to just keep a place for you to just have your comfort drawings in, because starting from somewhere is better than just never starting at all. And sometimes all it takes is just a few drawings of things that you just actually like drawing to get into a groove of then drawing other things or getting yourself to approach or start a project. Because I think we have to remember that the reason why we're even doing art-related stuff to begin with is because we like it, and don't take away the things that you actually liked about it other than these shitty fucking hands. And that brings me to my next point in the video, which is throughout this whole video, I'm going to be abusing the shit out of the whiteout. And why, you ask? Well, first of all, I feel like it is the eraser for the pen, and in order for me to get these really bold lines that I want instead of light pencil lines, I have to draw with pen. And then you might ask, why don't you just start drawing with pencil first and then go over it with pen? Well, I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the feeling of how going over something in pen as the line art just does not evoke the same emotion as the initial sketch you put down in pencil. And the way that I kind of mediate and find the balance between the two is to just draw directly with pen. Like, yes, you might fuck up, but I don't feel like the whiteout marks make such a huge difference that they stand out or anything like that. I feel like drawing and sketching in pen first, like the imperfection kind of gives it that looseness that the pencil sketches gave you. And I feel like if you draw it in pen, you're not going to make as many sketchy marks. You might have some imperfect lines or lines that just go through one another, but who cares? I feel like that type of imperfection with pen kind of gets rid of that tightness that most people would get when they try to line art a pencil drawing, and then the line art just ends up feeling super tight and not as lively. So if you're wondering what type of tools I'm using, they are pretty much self-explanatory because I feel like they're kind of iconic. I'm using the basic black Muji pen that you can just find when you enter the store and go to the stationery section, but also JK because we're not going to be entering any stationery stores anytime soon with this quarantine. And with the Bic whiteout, I honestly forgot where I got it from. I most likely just got it from a grocery store. So yeah, I don't really believe that using expensive, overpriced tools will really make your art that much better. Like, yes, I think there are certain tools that are meant for giving your art a certain look, but when it comes down to just being able to illustrate well, I don't feel like you really need to go all in with all the art tools out there. Like, I don't even use a lot of the art tools that have been recommended for me whenever I went to school, so whoops. So now that I've gotten all of the technical stuff out of the way, and hopefully by this point some viewers have dropped out so I lessen the amount of people that get to listen on my personal shit, I can probably dive into some of my more personal stories. And since, to be honest, I don't have any planned speeches or scripts for this video, I'm just gonna go along with a topic that might relate to what I'm drawing right now. So the thing that I'm going to talk about today is definitely more universal than just pertaining to women or females only, and that is about the feeling of jealousy, because it is a human feeling to have, and I don't think that it is wrong to have as long as what you do with that emotion leans more towards a positive direction than a negative one. But before I even dive into that topic further, I do want to first say that at the end of the day, there is enough success to go around for everyone, and just because somebody succeeded doesn't mean that there is less of that success for you. And I know how cheesy of a Pinterest quote that might sound like, but hey, you know, Pinterest quotes are the hardest to really, truly, genuinely live up to. Like, it's always one of those things that it's a lot easier said than done. So I feel like ever since we are young and growing up, we are always seeing other people achieving things, whether if they're the same age as us or older than us. And the thing that's annoying about the human mind is that our minds don't think in terms of absolutes, and we're always comparing to a reference point. And this is kind of just a natural thing that we do, but I feel like because we're not really taught to be aware of that aspect of our brain at such a young age, we don't really think about why we often compare ourselves to other people and then get upset by it sometimes. So ever since I was in elementary school to middle school, I had a friend who was always so much better at drawing than I was. She was definitely more technically skilled than I was, and I was always so jealous of her, but I wasn't jealous in a way where I felt like I viewed her negatively. It always was more of like envy, and I was like, wow, I'm so glad I'm friends with this person, but also fuck you for drawing so awesome and making me feel like shit about mine. And in addition to that, she definitely had a better taste in fashion than I did. She also was better at sports, and she also was always the first to find out about new cool shit within the Asian media world. And also, she had a cooler, bigger friend group than I did, and I was definitely more of a small friend group type of person. So anytime she hung out with those friends and I would be like left out, I would then get jealous of that. So not only was I just jealous of her, but I was jealous of her friends who got to spend more time with her than I did anytime that she chose to hang out with them over me. So I feel like naturally over time, as you grow up, you grow apart from people and you start to develop in your own ways. And eventually we did kind of just drift apart from each other. I continued on with my own life, she continued on with hers. And with that, naturally those feelings just go away because I'm just like, okay, well, she's not in my life as much as she used to be anymore. So I don't really think about my life and compare to hers. So once you kind of complete that aspect of your life and you move on to other things, you're just, in your head, you think, oh, I'm so done with like being jealous over people, like whatever, it's whatever. And then I go to art school, I went to Cal Arts, and once again I was hit with feelings of just like, oh my god, everybody is so fucking good. And then there's me. I felt like everyone had such a strong, amazing, experimental voice, and there was just me who was your typical half Eastern, half Western, anime, Disney, what is it type of style. So because I was really insecure back then, it took me about a year and a half to really start to get out there and start making friends, because I was kind of embarrassed to even put myself next to all these amazing artists and be like, they're my friends or something like that. So I know it's stupid to think that way, but my self-esteem was complete shit back then, okay? So it took me about a year and a half later to really start to make friends in a more genuine place that just really has nothing to do with art, because initially upon entering art school, it seems like art is the first and only thing that you all would relate upon with each other. So it kind of takes a while to like set the art stuff aside and be like, okay, now let me get to know you as a real person and not for your art, because let's be real, when you first see someone who's an artist just like you're gonna kind of judge them based on their art, at least like a little bit. So once you graduate and enter the workforce, you're gonna think you moved past all this shit and you are now a mature person and you made it because you now have a job in whatever field it is you dreamed of becoming a part of. But nope, I'm afraid to let you all know that the feelings of insecurity, imposter syndrome, and comparison to others continues even as an adult, and I think we just do better jobs at managing it at this point. But I feel like it's a feeling that's gonna keep arising no matter what, and it's fine, because as humans I think it's great that we are always trying to pushing to be better or just trying to improve, because that's what makes us innovative. So that's the great thing about always wanting to move up if you can. And the thing that's bad about it though is that it can get toxic and force you to not be grateful for what you currently have or where you currently are in life, and just really enjoying the journey of it. I feel like also with the way that the media has been in the past and sometimes still is today, there have been a lot of things that kind of set women up against each other and kind of compete over power, as if there's only one spot for a certain woman or person out there and there's not enough space for everyone to be successful. But the truth at the end of the day is that there is an abundance of success available, and things only seem limited because you're kind of not really allowing yourself to see that you can achieve the same thing that someone else did just because they did it before you did. And just because someone did something before you got to do it, that doesn't mean that you lost your chances and that's the end of the road for you. So the next time you find yourself comparing yourself to others and you start to feel really down about it, just remember that everybody comes from a different situation and different background, and that can really affect everyone's position in life, and it's not always about what the demons inside your head are saying. Something I think about to help me get a better shift of perspective is to remember that every time someone gains a position that is similar to what you aspire to be someday, to remember that it's not a closed door on you, and instead it's actually a validation that an opportunity like that exists out there. So the moment you catch yourself starting to think a little bit irrationally and putting yourself down, to remember that the world doesn't just suddenly stop the moment that somebody achieves something in life. It's not like all the comic artist or animation jobs out there suddenly disappear the moment that somebody becomes a storyboard artist or whatever. Oftentimes I find myself even more inspired whenever I surround myself with people who have achieved so much more than I have and have experienced so much more than I have, because assuming that at the end of the day these are all good people are willing to help you and collaborate and lift each other up, and I think this is very special, especially when it comes to women lifting each other up. But yeah, I guess those thoughts are what subconsciously inspired this inspiration, because remember that we're not in this journey alone by ourselves. We're all in this together, and we're going to lift each other up whenever we see someone who was once in the same positions as we were in. So yeah. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this super simple illustration, and I will see you all in the next one. So stay wholesome, bitches.